I think it's fair to say that the people out there with the least amount of faith are atheists. I don't say that because I'm trying to take a swipe at an atheist. I just think by definition we would agree that an atheist is the definition of a person who has the least amount of faith. Maybe none at all, they would say. But they never worry about it not being enough. They never say, I wonder why I don't have more. They don't wonder if it's an insufficient amount. It's only believers who say things like that, who wonder about things like that, who wish they had more faith. And Jesus says, don't worry about that. Faith is like cayenne pepper. You only need a little. Who even knows what would happen if you had too much? A little bit, a mustard seed, a cayenne pepper portion is enough faith. And we hear the apostles saying what many of us have said in our trials. Lord, please increase my faith. I need more. I need a bigger dose. It's not doing the job here. It's not touching the pain. But if we can say to God, Lord, please give me more faith, by definition, we don't need any more. Otherwise, who are we talking to when we say that? If we are saying, God, can I please have more faith? We don't need any more than we already have. By definition, we have enough. So what needs to increase whenever we find ourselves saying that to God, what needs to be increased is not our faith exactly, but maybe our faithfulness, our trust in God. When we're saying, God, please give me more faith, maybe a way to translate that for ourselves is, God, give me more trust. Help me to be more faithful to this path. We don't need more faith. Even a little bit is plenty. I have a friend who said something to me once that changed the way I looked at faith. He said, a lot of people say they've got a faith problem or they're in a faith crisis. And he said, I just think faith isn't as hard as we think it is. I think we might be overthinking it a bit. He said, he has to fly a lot for work. He said, because I'm on planes so often for work, I can't tell you how often we get on the plane and the flight attendant goes, we welcome you aboard for our departure for Raleigh today. And then she goes, Albany. He's like, they don't even know where we're going. And I trust them. You would think, he said, that if somebody said, now let's get ready to go to our trip to Sacramento, and we know we're supposed to be going to Albany, you would think we'd say, stop the plane. I need to get off. I don't have enough faith in this. But no one does. They figure, you know how it goes. And so my friend said, I've even seen videos, maybe you've seen them, of pilots being escorted off the plane because they tried to fly drunk. He said, but I still fly because the statistics will tell you it's one of the safest things you can do. He said, so I just all of a sudden realized, if I can trust Delta Airlines, I'm pretty sure I can trust God Almighty. And I love that perspective. We trust things all the time that are not as worthy of our trust as God is. Maybe we're overthinking it. Ernest Hemingway once said, the best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them. Go ahead and trust them. If they're not trustworthy, you'll find out. But what are we going to do? He said, not trust people? Live in an igloo somewhere? Shut ourselves off from the world? He said, no. The best way to trust somebody, the best way to see if they're worthy of our trust, is to go ahead and trust them and then evaluate. I think that's why it doesn't really work to say, Lord, please increase my faith. Because if we're talking to God, that's not the issue. What probably needs to get increased, if we're really analyzing it, is our trust. It's probably our trust that needs to get increased, or our commitment to staying on the path with what we've always turned to in the past. If we're saying, God, please increase my faith, we were to really take that apart and look at it, it might be that what we're actually saying is, God, can you help me be more certain of the outcomes of things? Can I have more certainty? Can I see around the corner to see how this is going to work out? Is my daughter's marriage going to survive this or not? Is my grandchild going to get into that college or not? If we're looking for more faith, it could be that if we peel back the layers a little bit, it's not faith that we're looking for. Even a little bit, Jesus says, is more than enough. It's probably a desire to have some certainty about things, to feel the ground under our feet. And who doesn't want that? If we're honest, when has life ever given anybody that? When do we ever get to know why things happen that are beyond our ability to understand? Who ever gets to know that the ground under their feet is solid at all times and know that the next thing that's going to happen is predictable? It's not something that happens for people. So when we're asking for more faith, we're probably asking for more certainty, and that's not going to work. But we could ask for more trust, and that is something God can give us. That's something we can work on. One of the images people use to kind of understand where God's lane is and where our lane is an image of two circles, a big circle and a smaller circle in the middle. The big circle represents everything we're thinking about, everything we're worried about. It's called the circle of concern by a lot of people. It's all the stuff we're concerned about. Is my 401k going to be there for me when I retire? Is my kid going to get into that college? What happens if my company downsizes? What's going to happen in the midterm elections? All of that stuff. All of that is in the circle of concern. But most of it we've got no control over. In the middle of the circle of concern, much, much smaller, is a little circle that we call the circle of influence. That's the stuff that we have control over. It's much smaller. As some people have wisely said, it's about the size of a hula hoop that you're currently wearing around your waist. It goes around us like this, and we've got control of that and nothing else. There's an image of those two circles in your worship page on page 6, if you are the kind of person who likes to look at something like that. If you're looking at it, or if you can picture it in your head, as a lot of us can, the big circle of concern, the big circle of all the stuff that matters to us, that's God's job. The littler circle, the one about the size of a hula hoop that's around us like this, that's our job. The circle of influence is up to us. Circle of concern, have to give up to God. That's why one of the best prayers we can ever have when we're saying, Lord, increase my faith, is to say, God, give me the serenity to accept all the things I can't change. Give me courage to change the things I can. And give me wisdom to know the difference. God, give me the serenity to accept how big the circle of concern is and how little control I have over it. Give me courage to work on my hula hoop, the circle of influence I have. And give me wisdom to pick my battles and let the stuff go that doesn't belong in my hula hoop. So this week we're being asked, when we've in the past prayed for more faith, can we put the finger on what it was that we were really asking for? It might be slightly different for each of us, but is there a chance that what we were actually asking for was more certainty? Is there a chance that we were asking for more control over things? Is there a chance we were looking for more confidence that everything was going to work out okay? If that's the case, we know as soon as we hear that, oh, I'm not going to get to control things in the world. I can't know what's going to happen tomorrow. That's not something human beings can do. But I can work on faithfulness. I can work on trusting God's promises and reading them to myself, kind of memorizing things that have been said by Jesus that I need to hear over and over again. I can learn to live in my hula hoop and do a really good job with that stuff. For some people, the way that they remind themselves to do that is they say, my job is to do the next right thing. Whatever that is, whatever choice I have, I'm going to choose the right one next time. And then the next choice I have, I'll choose the right one again. Just in my hula hoop, just making the choices that are mine to make. Faith is not needed in large quantities because all we need is a tiny bit and it's more than enough. God makes up the rest. That's why it's like cayenne pepper. Just a little sprinkle and you'll know it's there. One author says it really well. She says, faith during hard times is a lot like having the right amount of lunch money. It's not very dramatic, but it'll feed you. And it's just the right amount.